All right, boys, so the one thing I didn't know that kept me skinny, unconfident, and stuck for years while I was bulking, okay? Hopefully y'all can see me and hear me, but I'm gonna put you on some real sauce this video, okay? Some real sauce. I remember when I was a little bit younger and I was just 120 pounds, and I remember, again, feeling very, very unattractive, very unconfident. You know how it is. You feel very frail, and you feel like that sort of mentally as well. And I know I really wanted to get out of it, but I didn't really understand how. Okay, because I just kind of thought that's just the way things are. Like, you just got dealt the body type you have, and that's it. You know what I mean? Kind of like I thought I was brown and I was paying the curry tax for being brown, which basically means if you're brown, you're unattractive. Okay, and then years later, I found out that isn't true, because you can manipulate your food and be able to put on weight, but not only weight. You want to be able to put on muscle. And this is a very important distinction that I'm going to make, that is going to be very important and very tactical for what we're about to talk about, okay? So listen very carefully. So if you heard what I said said that you want to put on mass, but you don't want to get too fat. Okay, you only exclusively want to put on muscle. Now, how do you do that, Shay? Now, if you've seen some of my previous videos, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but you want to be at a 300 to 500 calorie surplus as a skinny guy, especially if you're starting off. You're going to make great gains. Don't do what I did, okay? Because you'll get to where I got way faster, way faster. Okay, if you just stick to the nutrition part of it and don't just lift like a gym bro, okay? And you can do that with more optimized workouts, especially if you're busy. Okay, this is especially if you get busy, in terms of not only your working out, but also your nutrition. Okay? And here is the one thing. Now, as soon as I say this one thing, a lot of you are gonna have some resistance, or some of you might think this is some sort of secret. Okay, and for some of you, you might be intrigued. You might be like, okay, what is this one thing, okay? Hear me out. It is tracking your calories, but now this is where a lot of you are sighing. You're like, oh my God, Shay, I haven't heard that only like 1,000 times already. Maybe some of you have never heard of that before, okay? What I'm about to say is very, very important. What I'm about to say is going to make it seem like tracking your calories is way easier than it should be, okay? So back years ago, I kind of realized that if I wanted to be able to bulk, I can't just go around guessing what I'm going to eat, okay? And so it made me think, like, how can I get foods, and this is the critical thinking process I kind of went through. How can I get foods that are not only good for me to eat, okay, compared to my current shitty diet, which consists of chips, the ice cream that I can get my hands on because it's in the freezer, because my parents decide to buy it for the siblings and stuff like that, okay? You know, foods at a gathering that you get that you don't really understand, because, this curry's got this much oil in it, or this has this much protein in it, or this or whatever, right? All these things I was just randomly eating. You know what I mean? I didn't really care. But my thought process was, how can I not only eat healthy foods, okay, so better than what I was eating, okay, but on top of that, make it time efficient, because I'm lazy as shit, okay? I'm real lazy about it. I want to be time efficient because I don't want to spend all my time cooking. That is not my hobby. If it's your hobby, oh my God, beautiful. This is going to be great for you, okay? But if it is not, okay, how do you spend the least amount of time doing that? How do you spend not only the least amount of time eating that food, but meal prepping that food? And then how do you, one of the biggest things when you actually start to bulk, you'll actually start to have this problem, which is, how do I stay productive? Because my brain just doesn't work with the amount of foods I'm eating constantly. I'm constantly loading up with a lot of carbs. Not that carbs are a bad thing. Let's not demonize them now, because a lot of people on the internet, that's how they do a lot of their marketing BS around carbs and all that, and coming up with something new when it's not that deep. Carbs are the king of performance, just so you know. They definitely do have a place in your diet, 100%. But again, how do we eat not only food that's good for us, how do we eat the perfect amount of food? Like, how do we know how much is the perfect amount of food we need to eat to be able to bulk? Okay. How do I make it in a time-effective manner? How do I consume it in a manner that doesn't make me stupid and, eat like a bodybuilder 5 to 6 times a day? Because I'm not a damn bodybuilder. I work sometimes 80 hours a week, okay? And put on muscle. You know what I mean? Because chances are you're also moving around a lot at work, so you're burning a lot more calories just doing that. You know what I mean? That's what we call our non-exercise activity thermogenesis. Just a fancy way of saying anything that isn't exercise that is burning extra calories. And chances are, especially if you have a high demanding work job, you're moving around a lot. You know what I mean? You got a high amount of calories. And this process took me some experimenting, okay? But what I came to realize was this. A lot of you actually don't have as much variety as you would like to think in your diet. Just think about it real quick, right? Just think about it. There's a handful of foods that you actually like eating, okay? That are a combination of either healthy or unhealthy. And let's keep it a buck. A lot of you thinking, oh, a lot of the unhealthy junk is the only thing I can eat and because it's fun. Listen, just like there's unhealthy stuff that you like to eat, there's also unhealthy stuff that you don't like to eat. So it's a false premise that your mind creates to make you think, oh, I like more unhealthy stuff, therefore I just like unhealthy and don't like healthy stuff. But there's obviously, you can think of immediately several hundred foods, probably not several hundred foods, but you can immediately think of the junk food that you actually like. And then think about how you're not thinking about all the other junk food that you don't like, right? Because you don't like it. So it'd be unreasonable to think that there's healthy food that you also don't like. Okay? So let's just get that out of the way. Where was I? Yes. So the one trick is that and I'm giving you specific steps right now, actionable steps that you can take to be able to start bulking effective immediately. If you do not take this, okay, I'm gonna be real pissed. Because a lot of you beginners think, oh my God, Shay, I can't bulk, I'm eating a lot. No, you are not. You don't understand what that even means. You're just saying stuff. You don't understand the caloric intake of a lot of these foods. You don't understand any of this shit. You don't know. You're just listening to the influencers that are talking about, oh, track with Cal AI because it's really, really easy and really convenient, when in reality, a lot of those apps don't even really understand how much food you're eating. If I was to literally shove, popcorn underneath all the oatmeal or whatever food underneath all the other shit, it would not be able to detect the popcorn, okay? There's no shot. And if there is, by all means, show me it, okay? Show me the app, comment it down below, and I'd love to see it. I'd love to, okay? The reason it's so marketable and the reason that you shouldn't do it is because a lot of these influencers are already in shape. They already have a lot of muscle mass. They don't have a lot of fat mass. They've built up a lot of their physique already, so they don't need to. But you're here trying to optimize and find convenient ways. Listen, I get optimizing, okay? Because that's what I also teach you to do. But I also understand that there's some work that just needs doing, okay? And again, now I'm gonna actually finally get to the tip. This is the actionable step, okay? You ready? Download MyFitnessPal right now, and before you sigh and groan, let me tell you exactly why, okay? So this isn't just about tracking calories. This is about thinking about the fact that you actually don't have a lot of meal variety, okay? As much as you'd like to think, you don't have as much meal variety unless you go to gatherings, and even then you don't, okay? Because chances are, whatever culture you're part of, just like I'm proudly a part of the brown culture, right? We have a lot of curries, we have a lot of meats and chickens, okay? So as much as you want to disguise it as a different food or call it whatever because of the different masalas and everything like that, it is basically the same thing. It is just chicken with some different flavoring and then a different kind of curry, okay? How I want you to think about this is, again, you don't have a lot of actual meals that you actually eat in terms of variety, okay? And this is advantageous to you being busy as well, because you shouldn't have to think about what you need to eat. You have a lot of work to do and things of that nature, but it should also be tasty so you can enjoy it, you know what I mean? Because you don't want to be miserable. So all I want you to do is, once you go to MyFitnessPal, I want you to take whatever you had for breakfast and try to track it, okay? But instead of just tracking it, I want you to go into MyFitnessPal. These are oddly specific steps that I'm giving you right now. I'm putting you on free game. Press the plus button at the bottom of the app, and then I want you to click on Create a Meal on the tab. You'll see a little tab that says Create a Meal. I want you to press on that, log whatever, or name your breakfast, whatever you had, okay? And all I want you to do is input all the stuff you had for breakfast. So if you had orange juice and you had a cup's worth, put in that orange juice, that specific brand as well. MyFitnessPal is really good about the branding and all that stuff. And the point I'm trying to get with this is, all you have to do, bro, all you have to do to be calculated about this, especially if you're not gonna have as much variety, because like I reminded you, you don't actually have as much variety as you think in your diet. All you have to do is learn to track this stuff once, make a meal out of it, and once you have it again, you just press the plus button and it is all tracked. And you can be calculating about your bulk instead of getting fat. I promise you, okay? You do not want to get fat on your bulk, okay? A lot of people think, oh, once I've hit my calories, okay, once I've solved the problem of my appetite, being able to get enough food, it doesn't matter how much I eat after that, because the goal is just to bulk, right? Listen, no, it is not, okay? The amount of people I know that have dirty bulked, okay, it is not worth it. And there's a misconception around dirty bulking. Somehow people think that you can't get too fat off of clean food. You can 100% get too fat off of clean food. Food is a numbers game. Do you understand? Food is a numbers game. That's why I'm saying be objective about this. And once you've actually built a good amount of muscle, you don't have to worry so much about your calories. And even then, you don't have to focus on every little microgram of rice that you're putting into your, your bowl and lose your mental health over it. Okay? I don't track all the spices and all that stuff of my biryani as a brown guy. All I do is type in chicken biryani on MyFitnessPal. If I'm trying to bulk, I'll pick the option that has a lower caloric amount, because then I can underestimate it a little bit, so that maybe if I do overeat on the calories, it's not too big of a deal. And when I'm starting to cut after my bulk to get more of the aesthetic physiques and, get rid of some of the fat, then I can choose the high calorie chicken biryani that I see on there, so I can overestimate and then cut weight. It is just a numbers game. It is just a numbers game. And as soon as you detach emotion out of the picture, oh my God, the amount of times I wish I could just tell my clients to detach your emotional thinking from your food. You do not have a relationship with food, okay? What is this, a marriage? What do you mean relationship? What is food to you? You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Stop having a relationship with food, okay? Stop. And again, I'm not gonna go on the other extreme and say that, you should eat like a bodybuilder, talking about, rice, broccoli, and chicken, no seasoning. Shit, I'd wanna die if I do that. I didn't achieve my results like that. I'd be lying to you if I did, okay? The truth is, I do like my junk food, which is why I track. See, that's the thing about a lot of the non-calorie bros as well. A lot of the bros that talk about not tracking calories, not only have they been training for years on end, okay? Which, by the way, I can get away with now. I can get away with not tracking my calories as much, okay? I really can. A lot of the thing about them is they're sacrificing somewhere. Do you understand? You don't see it because all you're thinking about is, how they don't have to track, how they don't have to do any of this stuff. But what you don't see is the fact that they're sacrificing somewhere, which is they're not willing to eat the junk food like me and you are willing to eat it, okay? They don't want to do that. And I'll be honest, shoot, they might be even more disciplined than me probably in that regard. But you know who isn't? You. And I'm just keeping it real, okay? I am not saying that to put you down. I'm giving you a reality check so that you understand that you don't want to dirty bulk all the way, and that a lot of these calorie bros or no calorie bros, they still give up something. They choose not to do junk food. They eat a lot more clean foods, okay? Which, by the way, okay, clean food starts to taste like candy. That's one thing no one tells you. Once you start making a habit out of eating a lot of the foods that you actually enjoy and that you can be comfortable in your mind knowing that you're hitting your goals, it's gonna taste a lot better, bro. And that isn't delusion. That isn't delusion because this has been studied. There's a science on this. They say that if you make a habit out of it, you'll naturally enjoy it more. We like to eat what we eat regularly. Do you understand? So eventually, you start to like the food, okay? And again, I'm not saying gaslight yourself into eating rice without no seasoning. That is not what I'm saying. I'm saying all you have to do is download MyFitnessPal. Take what you're eating already, okay? I'm going to give you the step by step. If you do not follow this, I swear to God, I hope you never get your physique. I'm just gonna say it. I'm just gonna keep it real. I want you to go onto calculator.net online right now. Put in your numbers of what your weight is. Put in your numbers, okay? And don't disagree with me. Turn your brain off right the hell now. Turn your brain off and just do exactly what I'm saying. I'm the mentor. I have muscle mass. You do not, okay? Listen to what I am saying. Please let me help you. Go to calculator.net. Put in your numbers, okay? Put in your weight. Put in your honest activity level, no cap. Don't be telling me you work out 4 to 5 times a week, all right? Unless you're actually going that much. And then I want you to, again, give me your height, give me your weight. Put it in there, boom. You're going to see a number, you're going to see a lot of numbers, but you're gonna see a number on there that says your maintenance, okay? That is what your body eats in a day to maintain its current body weight. Do you understand, okay? So it's probably gonna be a pretty low number, like somewhere near maybe 2000s. I don't know. I'm ballparking, but like don't take my word for it because a lot of you could be different heights and weights. So it really just depends on what your number is. Assuming you put in everything accurately and you know, and God forbid, you know your height, you know your weight, we're good. Okay, so you have the maintenance number. Now this is a rough estimation of what? It's a rough estimation of what you eat in a day to maintain your current body weight. Now I want you to add 300 to that, okay? This is going to be your surplus. This is what you're gonna be eating at essentially every single day to be able to gain weight. Now what I want you to do is, now that you know that number, just keep it in your mind, cool. Go to MyFitnessPal, ignore the number on MyFitnessPal that it gives you for the calories, okay? Because you already did the process. And what I want you to do is start logging your meals and just make meals out of them, okay? Just make meals out of the stuff you regularly eat. It is literally that simple. That is the hack. That is the secret, because you're getting as close to minimizing the time that you're spending tracking every little microgram, and assuming you eat in the same proportions, you're just gonna click a button and be like, yep, I tracked it. And you know what? You know what's crazy about this? Especially foods that you eat regularly, like breakfast and stuff like that. Like I have 4 eggs for breakfast, okay, when I was on my bulk. Now I have 2, okay? I made it a new meal because I'm on a cut now. Cool. I put it into the meal log, and all I gotta do is press plus on it and it logs it. And I don't even gotta do that anymore. I don't gotta click through 2 buttons. If you can't click 2 buttons, all right, you don't deserve your physique. I'm gonna just keep it a buck, okay? You don't even have to do that on MyFitnessPal. What it does is it shows you what you ate yesterday, and you can literally just say, yes, log this food again, and you log all of it, and then you just take out the stuff that you're not gonna have today and then add the stuff that you're gonna have, and try your best to hit the calories. Again, you're not gonna be good at this to begin with, because not only have you not eaten at even your maintenance, okay, just think about that real quick, because a lot of you just go go hours without eating, okay? Not only do you not eat at your maintenance, you're gonna struggle to hit your maintenance. You're gonna, you're gonna really struggle to hit your surplus because you're struggling to hit your maintenance. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. This is something you have to get used to, okay? It's just like when people try to lose weight and they convince themselves that hunger is a bad thing. No, it's not. It's a natural process, okay? It's a natural process of how you feel. There's strategies to mitigate it, but you're going to feel hungry to some degree when you're trying to lose weight, just like you're going to feel really full, okay? When you're trying to bulk, it is a natural process of trying to achieve an aesthetic physique to be able to put on more muscle. That is literally the tip. You literally, all you have to do is make a meal out of it, and it's a one-time investment thing. Especially if you have very low variety in your diet and you really don't care. As long as you're getting your 1 gram per pound of protein in, okay? So whatever your weight is, chances are if you're really, really skinny, you're just gonna wanna eat 1 gram per pound of body weight in your protein, okay? Unlike someone who's obese, where you calculate it based off their lean mass, you're already way too lean, okay? You're way too lean. So all you're going to do, download MyFitnessPal, calculate your calories, calculate your surplus, and then simply put, you're going to log the meals that you have on a constant basis. That is all you're going to do. You're just gonna make a meal out of them. You're gonna say breakfast, I call this eggs. Okay, cool. And then you wanna learn to slowly but surely add more stuff to that meal each and every time, okay? Add more and more stuff to that meal each and every time so that you're having the same amount of meals every single day, but instead of adding more sort of meals throughout the day, so instead of it being like, oh, now I gotta have breakfast, brunch, lunch, then dinner, instead, if you only like eating three times a day or twice a day, okay, you just add more stuff to each of those meals instead of making a whole nother meal time. Learn to progressively overload your calories. Like for example, when I had 4 eggs, I would add 2 breads to it immediately. That immediately boosts up the calories to like 140 more, okay? And then you add some cheese to it as well. Then you might even add some sauce here and there. Sauce is not illegal, you know what I mean? You can enjoy yourself. And boom, you're on your way to bulk. And again, do it calculated. Don't, on some days it's okay. If you go to gatherings and stuff like that and you might go over some of your calories, boom, that's okay. That's why we have you on a 300 calorie surplus, because if you go overboard by some, you can still hit that 500 calorie mark and be good. It's not the end of the world, okay? But you don't want to do that on a consistent basis. You still want your bulk to be calculated. I promise you this is how you're going to want to do it. Do not use the scale as an indicator to be like, oh my God, I'm not gaining weight. It's going to be a very slow process, and you're eating enough to be able to recover and grow a good amount of muscle mass, because muscle mass grows a lot slower even if you're a beginner compared to fat. You don't want to put on excess fat. You're going to have to diet it off. Don't do it. Don't think about it. I just promise, just listen to me, okay? And if you really want help doing this, okay, in the description, I have a community that you can join, and I essentially go over this. I would join right now before the price essentially doubles, okay? Because the first 10 people to join will have input on how I can guide them, and I'll guide them personally through their meal plans and their workout plans to be able to achieve an aesthetic physique that makes you feel a lot more confident, that makes you feel a lot more attractive, and then helps you grow into yourself a little bit more, okay? So with all that being said, that's all I got for you. Just listen, just turn your brain off and do that, and then click the link in the description, all right? That's all I got for you. Peace. Take it easy.